Welcome to another episode of Regional Italian Cuisine. Of course, my name is Caterina Borsato, and on this program, we're going to be talking about pastry. I am, of course, here at the Abbotsford Convent, which is found here in Abbotsford, of course, 4 kilometres from the centre of Melbourne. But primarily, I'm here at the Convent Bakery. My dear friend Dominic Racco, of course, established this bakery back in 2006, and he is churning out some fantastic pastries. Primarily, we're going to be talking about croissant. Of course, in Italian, they call it cornetto in the south of Italy or brioche in the north of Italy. It's known actually by many other names. Basically, the ancestor to croissant is the Kiffer, which comes from Vienna, Austria. The story so goes that the army general, whose name was Zeng, actually went to Paris and set up one of the first Viennese bakery. And so basically the croissant was born from that those very early times, documented about 1839, 38, something like that. And of course, croissant is basically a crispy, buttery pastry. My dear friend Dominic, of course, is going to be introduced very shortly, and he's going to take us through the paces of how we make these pastries. It's a long, and as I said, a long-winded process, and it's all about the dough. If you don't have a good dough, you can't get a good croissant. A lot of viewers, I would like to reintroduce, of course, Dominic Racco from the
Convent Bakery. Thanks for coming again.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. You are my artisan baker, aren't you?
I try to be.
Now tell me, you have a bit of a love affair with croissants, don't you?
I do. I really enjoy making croissants. You know, we use baker's flour, right?
Is that the main ingredient?
It is. We use our baker's flour. We use it on all our pastries that we make here.
So what about 00, which is a softer flour?
I've never used it, to be honest with you. I'm really comfortable with my flour because
Right.
I've worked for it now for the last 8-9 years.
Right.
So I've already got the feel of it. So I know when the different types of seasons, right? It's really important as well because you've got your seasons when they change.
Oh.
Right. So you've got a stronger where you maybe need to add extra water to it, and sometimes it takes less water. So the different seasons is really important.
So it's a science.
Yeah, it is.
So it's pretty easy to stuff up these pastries?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
How many batches do you get to throw out?
Well, I think we mastered it right now. So after 8 years, you learn. Learn. You got to always talk to your flour supplier because they'll tell you the different types of flours that are in season.
Right.
They can tell you it's a little bit softer, stronger, a little bit weaker.
Right.
So you got to be careful with.
And that's all got to do with the gluten, hasn't it?
That's right.
Yeah.
It is. So you have to develop a little bit more to develop the gluten. And sometimes when it's in season, well, you don't have to knead it as much to develop the gluten.
It's complicated.
It is.
I mean, I know the process of making croissants is complicated, but now you're telling me about flour.
Oh, of course.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's the main ingredient in everything that we make here.
Yeah.
You know?
And of course, so aside from the flour, what else do we require to make croissants?
Well, we have to use sugar, salt,
Yeah.
dry yeast,
Yeast.
butter, and our milk, because we use milk in our croissants.
Okay, so is it a full cream milk?
Yes, we do.
And what about the butter? Because I guess this is another important.
Well, we use New Zealand unsalted butter in all our products,
Right.
in everything that we make here, right? But now we've got in touch with a company that gives us 99% butter, pure butter.
What does that mean?
That means there's no water in it.
No water.
So, and it's beautiful to work with.
Yeah.
It's very easy to work with to laminate.
Yes.
What I'm using is unsalted butter from New Zealand.
Right.
We just received the 99% butter.
Yeah.
So we started this week with it. So it's totally different.
And is it easier to work as well?
It is. It does spread a lot easier, and the laminating and the way it comes up flakier, it's just everything that we want in our
This
croissant.
word laminating, now this is a complicated word, isn't it? What does that actually mean?
It's the laying of the dough, right,
Yeah.
and the butter.
Yeah.
So the more layers you put in it, the more flaky the product will come.
And what we're looking for, of course, is a crispy, buttery, soft-scented, pull-apart croissant. Is that right?
That's right.
All right, well, let's start this process and just see how you do that, huh?
We will. Our first stage for the croissants, we've got 1 kilo of flour. Okay, you don't have to sift the flour. So we've got 50 grams of caster sugar, 20 grams of dry yeast, 20 grams of salt. We've got 10 grams of improver here. The improver is to help hold the shapes of the croissants. and our 60 grams of butter, always room temperature. So it's very important that you mix all the ingredients together through the flour. Okay, so you'll know when it's ready because when you put the flour through your fingers, you don't find big lumps of butter. Okay, once you get it to this stage, do a little well. So now we're going to add the 550 mils of milk, and we slowly bring it together. All right, with my producer, right, he says that I've got to talk more about, but I've had the same problem with my wife. I never talk enough. Okay, what I've noticed that the Vegas flour we're using is a stronger flour, so it needs more milk. So I think we'll need another 50 mils of milk. Pour straight in. Okay, once we get it together to this stage here, we'll put it on the marble. All right, and now we're going to start working it. All right, so what I'm doing is I'm stretching the dough and bringing it into the middle. So we're looking for a nice smooth texture. Seems like there's a nerve crack here in Abbotsford. Right, I've been kneading now for a few minutes. We don't need to really develop it like we're making bread. We rest our croissant doughs for 24 hours before we get to the second stage.
We're going to go to a short sponsors break, but when we come back, we're going to talk about some of the various fillings. So what are you thinking
Well,
of
we're
doing?
going to make an almond cream today, and also we're going to do a chocolate ganache, right, to fill our croissants.
All right, which are the fairly traditional
That's right.
fillings, aren't they?
Yeah.